Hello, hello. This is the Mahadivag episode number 3590. Today's date is September 40, 2025. It's been almost like uh, morning at 8:39 a.m. All right, should we jump into the question? All right, let's go. All right, question is: am I starting this business for a right reason or just escape or something? Okay, what exactly is this question? By the way, this question is associated with the business and startup. I wanted to do business and startup. I don't really know about how to do I supposed to do business and startup. Asking this question to myself, I will understand more regarding about business and startup, so that when the situation comes, I will kind of like be aware and I will prepared for things and might have kind of like some action plan for that. All right, all right, jump to it. Now, what exactly is this question? This question is actually associated with the business mindset and preparation. What kind of like assembly mindset that you have regarding about business? And this thing is a kind of like something really very valid thing, a right reason or just escape or something. Okay, right now let me tell you one thing. The kind of like the scenario that we are living. Actually, I am living. I'm not really sure you are living or not. Uh, if you are doing a job, okay, you are considered as a okay. But if you are running a startup, it consider that you are kind of like a something part of something big people, because you running a business. Even if you are kind of like a taking loss and things and that, still people consider that you are trying to do something good, because it's just like it's a perception that we are creating. Okay, yeah, that doing a job, it's kind of like a something just like like basically you don't really get any kind of like a freedom and things and that. And basically I also mentioned this thing too, because when I was kind of like a doing a job, I was kind of like a something not have freedom and things and that. What exactly is this question? This question is kind of like a telling about, are you really wanting to do a business? Because let me tell you one thing, from visual point of perspective, or if you are tell other person that I am running a business, it kind of like a something sounds so cool and things and that, but in reality it's a really fucked up, dude. Yeah, it's a really fucked up. Okay, and and basically what you are actually been through in this particular process of business, it's just like a hellhole. Because let me tell you one thing, now when you do a job, you are not really have that much stress, but you have a lot of work. But when you do a business, you don't really have that much work, but you have a lot of stress regarding about growth, future, sale and numbers and things and that. It's a lot of stuff, dude. Oh yeah. Yes, you are not kind of like a somebody doing any kind of like a something work. You are not going to the office every single day, but still this business is actually haunt you every single time. Every fucking time. You just like you always thinking about this thing and that thing and that thing and that thing. And it kind of like a something cripple you from inside. Okay, running a business is just like it really required a kind of like a somebody, like basically acceptance of the things that you will gonna experience, and you have to accept this thing. And are you prepared for that? This is one of the most essential factor that you have to understand. It sounds so cool that you are running a business, but when reality things get really hard. This is the one thing, by the way. Okay, another thing is that ki I kind of like suddenly found a couple of people. I found not found like a basically. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Okay, um, if you went to kind of like a sorry metro city, okay, Bombay, Bangalore, or Delhi, or things like that, The people over there are kind of like a things that ki, they wanted to do a business because they can. Also they think that ki, it's a kind of like a something cool and things like that. What is exactly is this thing? Okay, I'm gonna try to compare a job and a doing a business. Which one is better? Obviously business, right? In person point of perspective, like, obviously it's a business because in the business you can earn more and things and that lot of stuff. By the way, the what is exactly the business life, or kind of like a somebody is this thing, you are running a business, then what kind of like a stuff that you are imagining, that is matter, dude. Okay, because if you are kind of like imagine that if I do a business, then I would have a car, I would have big house, I'm actually enjoying my vacation at Dubai or anywhere on the planet. Are you imagining this thing? If you are running a business, then probably you shouldn't supposed to do that. Yes, vacation is essential. Obviously, I'm not saying that you shouldn't supposed to do vacation. House, car is also really essential. But what is at least this thing na ki having that particular mindset, it's somewhat something like a matter, somewhat like, it's like that na ki, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. If you are doing a business, that means the energy required for doing a business, it not comes from that ki you are kind of like a simply elite person that you should supposed to do business or things or that or startup or things like that. You have to be more focused on what kind of like a problem that you could solve to the people by doing your business. What kind of like a value that you are offering to the people. This is one of the most essential thing. Oh yeah, because let me tell you one thing now. When you do a job, you are actually offering value to you, to your family, by kind of like a some money that you are earning. Whatever the money that you gonna earn, you will kind of like spend that money to kind of like a something for better future, better life and things and that. So it create value in you in, yeah. So you have to understand when you do a business, when you are selling product or providing a services to the people, what kind of like a value that you are providing, and the value that you are providing, is it really essential, is it really matter, is it something that they are looking for that. You have to ask this question every single time. Now regarding about myself, okay, now this is kind of like an artifact that I wanted to do it, right? Now am I asking this question to myself that key, is it is it kind of like a things that key, does my kind of like a startup or does my business will add value to the people? It will definitely gonna add value. Why are you so sure about this thing? Because I'm doing this thing for almost like a 10 year, and definitely it add value, dude. I'm gonna kind of like something give you little bit of questions, okay, yeah. When you are a teenager, you wanted to be a filmmaker, right? You put the all the effort to be a filmmaker. Till now you are still wanting to be a filmmaker, right? Then where is this business came from? Like basically it's this thing na ki you wanted to be a filmmaker, you have idea, you have a story, you have lot of stuff to be considered as a filmmaker. But why did you kind of like a change your direction? Why did you kind of like suddenly change from filmmaker to a business person? Well, let me tell you one thing now. Ki, yes, you are completely right. That why did I change? I didn't really said that ki I don't want to be a filmmaker. Okay, and I didn't really said that I wanted to be a businessman, because let me tell you one thing now. Okay, I'm not really sure if you understand or not. I'm trying to explain as simple as possible as I can. Yeah. Let's just say that ki, um, you kind of like a something. Let's just say um, let's just say that ki, you are in the village, Okay, in that particular village there are almost like a hundreds of people are actually living. Okay, now what exactly happened that ki most of the people are actually eat some of the soup. Okay, soup is a kind of like a cuisine, by the way, which is very hot. Okay, if you try to eat soup, then probably is this thing na ki it's you can't, because like basically is this thing that ki your tongue might get burned or things or that. So no, so you just have to wait for that soup and things like that. Now you also eat this, you also kind of like a do this, eat the soup or drink the soup. I'm not really sure what is at least this thing, but you actually invented a spoon. Okay, you actually invented a spoon and you are kind of like simply drinking or eating that soup from that spoon, right? Now you are doing this thing for almost like a, like let's just say decade. Okay, let's just say decade. Okay, and basically is this thing na ki other people realize that ki they are kind of like a bit really difficult to drink that soup, hot soup, by kind of like it's very hot. Okay, but you invented the spoon. So you realize that, dude, I invented this spoon, so why would I supposed to be like, why, like if I kind of like make those spoon multiple, then I would sell those spoon to the people that they are kind of like been through trying to eat those soup and things like that. So I did that thing. I kind of like made multiple of spoons, sell those people who are kind of like have difficult to drink soup, and kind of like give it to them. They are love to get that thing and they paid some sort of amount of money. So in this particular scenario, is this person did any kind of like only business? No. Then what does he did? He just kind of like somebody accidentally solved the problem. Let me tell you one thing. Accidentally means like that his intention was not meant to be solve the problem. He's accidentally created this particular stuff which is kind of like something relevant for most of the people. This is the same thing happened for me. Okay, artifact, I started this thing, it's not meant for kind of like something that I wanted to do a startup and I need an idea and things like that. Nothing. I started this artifact for kind of like things that I want my life as better as I could possible. And I was also influenced by the kind of like a couple of things, like in the Avatar movie there is a kind of like a people like there is a kind of like a people who are kind of like a recording log. Okay, video log. They actually talk about what exactly happened in the day and things like that, because in that particular planet they kind of like their memories kind of like somebody went to lose or things like that. So it's really essential to kind of like somebody whatever that actually happened they have to be recorded. So this kind of like a topic that they mention in the movie Avatar movie. So I was really influenced by this particular technique or things like that. And since then I started this thing. By the way, I started this artifact is not meant to be kind of like a do a business, but kind of like a simply improving my life as better as it could. At the beginning, I just kind of like a simply said, this is my artifact and this happened and this happened and this happened. Okay, like basically I started my artifact in 2015, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Till the 2023, I was just recording the artifact. Yeah, almost like 8 years. I was just 8 or 9 years. I was just recording artifact. I didn't really have any thoughts that I should supposed to kind of like do a business or do a kind of like a things or that. Yeah, I would kind of like think that what if I kind of like share this technique to the people, then they might gonna add value. But I didn't really consider as a business. Nothing really at all. I consider this artifact. It's kind of like a things that I just like basically this thing na ki at the beginning I already knew that I'm kind of like a very different person. Okay, and kind of like a somebody the show of kind of like a things that na ki I wanted to kind of like a somebody document my life. Okay, this is what it is. So that's why I just kind of like did that thing. Okay, it's not just the only purpose. It's a kind of like a add on. But it's just like that ki at the beginning I started at kind of like for this kind of like a purpose. But when I started recording artifact, I realized that ki how much it add value in my life. Okay, yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki, this artifact is this idea or this kind of like a things is kind of like a somebody happened it accidentally. Okay, yeah. Because of some certain situation happen and things and that, and I created this thing. Okay, yeah. And for the 9 year, I never really convinced myself it's a kind of like a somebody really good business and startup. Almost like a last year, means 2024, yeah, maybe 2023, maybe. I kind of like realized that ki, what if I could make the application that people could do record artifact and things like that. I kind of like somebody think about this way and that way and that way and that way, and then now I'm at this position. By the way, yes, I'm kind of like a thing is that ki, I wanted to do a business like this, but I didn't do any kind of like a stuff. I'm kind of like a try to build the application, but still I'm kind of like a learning the coding. Oh, learn the coding. Okay. So basically, this thing I haven't even started nothing really at all. Okay. Now, what about film? Okay, you want to be a filmmaker, right? So, what exactly is this thing? What kind of like something happened with that? Well, is this thing that ki, filmmaking is a kind of like a things that yes, I wanted to do, but the problem is that ki money. Okay, when the COVID happened, I wanted to go to the Bombay, but I needed money. Where that money came from? I didn't really have that much amount of money, and I don't want to ask money to my parents. One thing. Another thing is that ki even if I kind of like put all the effort and things and everything, I might not reach on that particular period. I might not reach to be as a kind of a considered as a filmmaker, because I might gonna stuck at kind of like a somebody doing just a day to day job and stuff like that, because still there is a lot of hierarchy and stuff like that. It's not about I didn't really love filmmaking. I love filmmaking, but it's like that na ki the path that I might think that would gonna do, it's not possible. Okay, because not just because of I don't really have money, but still at that time I don't really have that much talent either. Let's just say communication skill, networking, um, um, kind of like a filmmaking stuff. Okay, yeah, confidence. These are kind of like a stuff that I have to be work on myself, because I didn't really have that thing. That I kind of like a simply talk to myself, realize myself, figure it out and everything. I kind of like a went through multiple possibility that if I went there, if I kind of like a somebody take money from my father and go to the Bombay, things like that, how many chance do I have succeed and things and that, will I able to give up or not or things like that. And almost like a maybe my possibility of success is almost like a less than 10% in every possible scenario. Yeah, even if my luck is really right or things or that, it may be less than 10%. And I'm not really sure about this thing. Okay, this is one thing. Another thing is that ki YouTube is a kind of like a simply way that I realize that ki I would be this kind of like a person, a YouTuber. Okay, yeah, being a YouTuber kind of like a thing is that ki I would kind of like a simply improve my skills, improve my filmmaking skills. Okay, yeah, and stuff like that. If I kind of like a do that thing, I might have kind of like some chances, so that I would gonna survive by myself in Bombay, and then I would kind of like go to the Bombay and kind of like somebody by myself, like because of I'm earning from YouTube, and then I will be a filmmaker and things like that, right? So so basically, this is na the plan of filmmaking is like that na ki, like let me tell you one thing. Okay, like if you are kind of like a thinking that ki, dude, why did you kind of like a change your goal every single year? Yeah, like you wanted to be a filmmaker, now you wanted to be business and things and that, and you are kind of like suddenly judging me and stuff, which is okay. Yeah, it's good, but it's just like that I realize um in every possible scenario. Okay, e- have you ever kind of like a somebody understand or kind of like a somebody notice that ki people are wanted to be something really much, people are wanted to be something, but they didn't really became those something something. What is the only reason for that? Have you ever thought that? Like, basically is this thing na ki um I don't know, but it's just like that ki, like I heard most of the stories, okay, yeah, that ki people are wanted to become like this, but instead they became this. Why? Is because of they are putting less effort? No, they don't really put. I don't really think that they did put kind of like less effort. Then what is actually the reason for that? Why those person didn't really became the person that they think it is? Why? Sometimes it's kind of like a something like that na ki the success is not depend on success, not 100%, okay, like basically is this thing that na if I'm looking at the chart, okay, also I'm trying to understanding, it's my understanding, it's my thought process, and I am might be kind of like completely wrong with this particular stuff that I will gonna say, okay, yeah. So let me give you the context, okay, yeah. um that key, the success is not determined by how much effort that you put. I'm trying to tell you in the probability or kind of like a somebody chart, okay, in percentage point of perspective, okay. So if I'm gonna say I am a kind of like a somebody successful person, so how much do you think that effort? Maybe 60%. Then what is the 40%? Like what kind of like a 40% are responsible for kind of like that succeed? Okay, so I'm gonna try to give you the little. I'm not really sure. Okay, I'm not. Okay. Success, as I mentioned, success is not just determined by the effort that you are putting. Success is also determined by how many people are accepting that you are a successful person. Okay, what is actually accepting? Okay, accepting means like that na ki, let's just say, okay, let me kind of like give you a simple example. I wanted to be a prime minister of India, example. I wanted to be a prime minister of India. I put a lot of effort to be kind of like a to be a kind of like a someone became a prime minister of India. Okay, yeah. Even if I want, and even if I put all the effort, can you guess? Can you kind of like somebody say that ki may I be able to be a prime minister of India? No, definitely not. Okay, yeah. Because the prime minister of India, if you wanted to become a prime minister of India, it's not really depend on how much effort that you put, or it's not really depend on how much you want to become that particular person. It depends on how many people are thinking or accepting that you are the prime minister of India. Oh yeah. Let's just say, okay, yeah. The effort and the kind of like a belief, I think is a 60% of your success. Okay, yeah. Rest of the 40% is actually depend on how much people are actually accepting that you will gonna get succeed. Like same example is this thing that key acceptance of the people is actually matter depend upon how much success that you get. Okay, now this is kind of like a something very varied. Okay, very varied, very like a very kind of, I'm not really sure what is that is this thing. It depends on what is actually your goal. Okay, let me tell you, if I'm gonna say I am kind of like a something wanted to be a prime minister of India, then probably my ratio would be like basically 50-50%. Means 50% is my effort and things and everything. 50% is the acceptance of the people that I would become a kind of like a prime minister of India. Okay, if I'm gonna say I wanted to be a kind of like a something a chairman of this particular company or things like that. So what exactly is this thing? my effort is kind of like a count as a 70%. 30% is kind of like a somebody acceptance of the people and things like that. Okay, yeah. um right. So basically what I'm trying to tell you, if your goal is kind of like a much more higher and bigger, then probably the acceptance of the people is kind of like a take a lot of kind of like any chances. Okay, if you wanna say that ki I wanted to become a president of United States. Okay, yeah. So in this particular situation, I might gonna say 30% is your effort, 70% is the acceptance of the people. And mind you, effort means I'm saying entire 100% effort that you're putting from mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. Okay, yeah. Still after that, 70% is still rely on the acceptance of that, how many people are actually kind of like a accepting you as a president of United States or things like that. Do you understand this kind of like a point? Okay, yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing na ki same thing happened with the logic sense and stuff like that. Like basically if I'm kind of like a running a business, or if I'm kind of like a things, or if I'm, it's just like that na ki I don't know. I just completely fuck my point. I'm completely forget what was I kind of like saying. I was kind of like saying regarding about the acceptance and things like that, but I'm not really sure that key. This is kind of like example is actually regarding about what. Okay, but whatever. Okay, yeah, is that thing that key. Yeah, I'm kind of like somebody saying this thing that key why you wanted to be a kind of like a somebody filmmaker or things like that. Okay, yeah, is that key if I wanted to be a filmmaker, I need to learn a lot of things, and I was not really have that thing. I'm not really confident. I'm not really communicator. My confidence are really low. I I have to be work on myself a lot before I went to Bombay, and YouTube is the only way that I could do that. So that's why I'm kind of like doing a YouTube and things like that. And by the way, if you are think that he um, I if I kind of like something do a YouTube, then I would not be a filmmaker. No, that there is nothing really at all. Because of the YouTubing, if I'm kind of like doing this YouTube, I realize a lot of things. Okay, probably I'm doing graphic designing. Okay, yeah, it's not really associate the part of the filmmaking point of perspective, but still, like sometimes it is kind of like a things that I'm not really sure how do I supposed to say. It's a things that na ki that ki the universe is actually tell you that ki wait, you're not prepared. Work on yourself first. Okay, yeah. And this is kind of like a same thing is actually happened with me. Because when the COVID happened, after the COVID, I wanted to go to the Bombay. I just really wanted to go to the Bombay. Just like I'm just kind of like assembly, just loose and things like that. But there is some sort of kind of like a voice or whatever it is. I'm not really sure what is that. It kind of like a tell that you are not ready yet. Okay, yeah, you just have to be work on yourself. And since then, I'm kind of like trying to work on myself regarding about the way that I talk, the way that I communicate, try to build the confidence and things like that. And I'm still at the moment I haven't really achieved all those things and stuff like that. Another thing is the money. Okay, obviously is this thing that I don't really have a money. Okay. So basically, if I'm looking at from every possible perspective, I like almost like a 90% I might gonna be failure. And failure means like that I would accept the failure. Because it is really essential that failure is a part of the process. The moment you fail, when you accept the fail, and this is what kind of like a things that it would gonna happen if I'm kind of like only going to this thing. I would accept the failure, and when I will accept the failure, then probably is this thing I would lose my hope and living the life and things like that. It's just nothing. What is exactly kind of like answer for this? Am I starting a business? Am I a right reason or escape for something? I'm not escaping something. I am not kind of like trying to prove anyone that what I would do or not or things like that. It's just like that कि this kind of like a business and startup, it's kind of like I did it some sort of accidentally, something I'm not really sure, but yeah. And soon after I realized that ki if I kind of like a simply share this method and technology, it might gonna add value to the people. So that's I'm doing it. That I'm passionate. Also, I'm kind of like a responsible for accepting the failure, like say accepting that key failure is a part of the process. Okay, and everything comes with it. Um, it's just like that, na ki probably um, life is actually giving you a lot of twist and turn. Okay, and sometimes now you think that your life should supposed to be like this, but it not. Okay, it's not kind of like a simply depend on you are put little less effort. Sometimes it depends on you are not fit for the character probably. Like basically when you are kind of like a casting a role in the movie, they are kind of like a reject you. It's not because of that you have little less talent. No, they reject you because of you're not fit for the role. Fit means kind of like a visual appearance and things and that. And now where is that visual appearance come from? Who actually decide those visual appearance? People. Okay, that's why I mentioned that na, acceptance of the, maybe I'm completely wrong, maybe I'm completely whatever. But regarding about this question, am I escape for something? No. Am I doing for right reason? Yes. And I'm willing to do this thing. I'm willing to accept all the failure and everything. There is one thing I can know. There is one thing I can do. There is a one thing I know that okay, just keep doing. Just keep doing, even if you getting success or not, or things or acceptance of the people, I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm kind of like a saying this thing for something, I'm not, I don't know. It's just like that key. There is only one thing that I know, that key you just have to put the effort every fucking day. That's it. This is it. Thank you.